Picture this case scenario. John is a security manager at company X, and he has observed that his company is experiencing recurring security threats. The level of security breaches is escalating, and as a result, his company is losing a significant amount of its revenue. So there is a problem. To get to the bottom of this, John decides to conduct a security risk assessment. He identifies, analyzes, and evaluates his company target risks and goes ahead to establish ideal mitigation strategies to counter those security breaches. Following his security risk assessment, he then presents his risk management plan to his boss, hoping that his boss is going to approve its execution. However, John's initiative potentially plays out in two ways. One, his boss approves the implementation of his risk management plan, and the security mitigations he had proposed are implemented. However, as time progresses, John notes that the security mitigations that he proposed and were implemented are still not effective. Two, his boss does not approve his risk management plan, and the status quo remains. Now, there is a way that John would have navigated his initiative to achieve better results. He should have ensured that the security risk assessment he conducted was within a security risk management framework under a security risk management program. In this video, we are going to engage on security risk management framework, what it is, how it's applied, and why every organizational security risk management program should incorporate an effective security risk management framework. Welcome to Security Nuggets Podcast, a professional channel that focuses on security risk insights and perspectives for continuous learning purpose. And I'm your host, Ashley, and it's a pleasure to have you here joining in this discussion. And without wasting any time, let's delve right into it. There is always a common question asked by most security professionals, which is, where do I start? How do I develop and implement a security risk management program within my organization? Now, transforming your security management structure to a security risk management program structure requires benchmarking. You need to communicate and consult relevant stakeholders, all right? Again, you need to demonstrate the value that a security risk management program is going to bring to the organization. My go-to strategy, which I always recommend to security professionals, is conducting a gap analysis of the security function through a SWOT tool. All right? Now, this means that you need to leverage internal and external information to actually establish the security function strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay? And then when you're done doing that, you need to develop a strategic plan. And under that strategic plan, you need to incorporate the adaptation of a security risk management program. What a SWOT tool does is that it helps the security function identify inherent gaps and deficiencies that are potentially hindering its performance. It also helps the security function achieve strategic alignment with the rest of the organization. And that alignment is key towards garnering leadership support when benchmarking. If you wish to get an in-depth guidance of how to conduct a gap analysis for your security department or function, you can access a video discussion that I did in the past on strategic alignment in security management. I'm going to link it below this video discussion, all right? It actually guides you on how to do your own gap analysis using the SWOT tool on a step-by-step basis. I would really encourage you to have a look at that discussion so that you can do a gap analysis for your security department and function, especially if you're keen on adapting a security risk management program for your organization, because you need to benchmark and acquire that relevant support and buy-in from your leadership and relevant stakeholders, all right? Now let's proceed to expound on the topic of security risk management framework through a PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared for you. Now, I believe that by the end of this presentation, you'll have a better understanding of what security risk management framework is and its vital role within the security risk management program, all right? Now, let's start off by defining what security risk management framework is, all right? According to ISO 31000 Risk Management Standard Guide, the framework is the architecture that facilitates and ensures that all stakeholders are included and security risk management practices integrated into all organizational projects, activities, processes, and procedures, demonstrating leadership commitment through alignment of security risk management within the organization's strategic goals and culture. All right. In our previous discussion, where we unpacked security risk management program, I remember telling you that the framework is also referred to as the backbone of the security risk management program, all right, or the skeleton. This is because it really plays a fundamental role, all right? And we will see what that role is as we move forward in this discussion. Now, I want you to take note of what I have highlighted in this definition. I have highlighted included because that is what the security risk management program is all about, and it needs to factor in the security risk management framework inclusion. Who is being included in the program? And how will they be included? That is brought out in the framework, all right? Because you get to establish who is vital, who plays a role, who is a risk owner, all right, to be incorporated within the security risk management program, all right? Which are the stakeholders that are critical so that their perspectives and opinions and subsequent role can be incorporated within the security risk management framework, okay? Now, I remember also mentioning that the security risk management program is a holistic program. It's supposed to include everybody that's relevant, all right? Any relevant stakeholder, whether they're within the organization or outside, right? Whether they're external. So inclusion is very important. And we bring in that inclusion when we have a framework. We bring in that inclusion when we have a framework, okay? Again, how do we integrate security considerations within the organization in terms of the organization's projects, activities, processes, and procedures, etc., etc.? How do we do that, all right? The framework, again, helps us to bring that integration together. It helps us to incorporate that integration, okay? And we will see how that plays out, all right? Now, commitment is vital. Leadership commitment is vital for a security risk management program to be effective. I like to say this, that the leadership support and extent of commitment is the glue that holds the security risk management program together. It is the glue that holds the SRMP together. Okay, you cannot have an effective SRMP without the leadership support. It will fall apart. All right, integration is going to be poor and insufficient. Inclusion is going to be poor and insufficient. Approvals are not going to come in, or they are going to come in very slow. The budget is going to be very mediocre. It is not going to be sufficient for you to be able to do the whole security risk management program. You're not going to be able to execute when you're not being funded or you're not getting the necessary resources. You're not going to outsource the necessary expertise without the leadership commitment and support. So commitment and support from your leadership, the organizational leadership and executive, is the glue that holds the security risk management framework together. And also it holds the security risk management program together. All right. And again, the security risk management framework also goes ahead to demonstrate alignment of the security risk management with the organization's strategic goals and culture. All right? Because as we will find out going forward is that we are starting off in the framework by establishing the direction. What direction is the security risk management program going to take? And in establishing the direction, that is where we get alignment. Whatever needs to be aligned is aligned at that point, okay? Alignment of goals, alignment of organizational goals and objectives, alignment of the organization's culture, okay? That is where we achieve it, all right? Now, moving forward, the framework therefore provides a structure whose core purpose is to provide guidance in the security risk management program's direction, systems, and execution as follows. When it comes to direction, it is aligning the program with the organization goals and objectives through the program policy, through the security risk assessment process, and through the risk management plan, all right? That is where the program, the security risk management program, gets its direction on how it is going to move forward, all right? Of how the systems that are going to follow are going to be incorporated and executed, all right? How execution is going to be managed of any security controls, and how moving forward, those systems can be maintained and reviewed and monitored moving forward, okay? So we start off by establishing the direction of the program, okay? And that is now a component that is under the security risk management framework, okay? Now, in direction, when we talk of the program policy, as a security risk management program, okay, it needs to be directed by its main policy. It needs to have a main program policy, okay? And in this policy, this is where the goal and purpose of the program is articulated and well-defined, all right? As well as its objective. What is the organization going and hoping to achieve out of the program that is articulated in the main policy? Under direction, we also have the security risk assessment process, all right? It is through the security risk assessment process that the organization is going to be able to better identify its target risks, okay? And the potential impact those risks could be having to its critical assets and processes, and therefore impacting on its operational continuity, okay? It is also through the SRA that the organization is going to be able to analyze which risks take priority, okay? It is going to be able to rank high risks so that they can prioritize them in mitigating, all right? It is through the SRA, again, that the organization is going to be able to evaluate better treatment plans and strategies, okay? And also be able to identify how these mitigations are going to be designed and implemented, all right? Again, we have the risk management plan, okay, under the direction. Once the security risk assessment process is done, okay, a risk management plan is now formulated, basically giving guidance and direction on how to move forward as far as designing systems and implementing them is concerned. Here we are more specific on the roles, who is going to play what role in as far as designing the systems and implementing them is concerned. What are the timelines we are looking at in terms of those implementations are concerned? What are the timelines, okay? The execution phases, all right? How is the resource allocation? What budget are we looking at? Are we going to need to outsource expertise? All that is planned out and laid out in the risk management plan, all right? And now we go to the systems, which is very critical as well, because it entails designing security controls, incorporating security-specific policies and standards, procedures and guidelines, work instructions, form templates, and related tools within the security risk management program, okay? As security professionals, you know that when it comes to implementing mitigation strategies, okay? It's a whole process of designing how that is going to be implemented. Okay, one, we've got to have a system-specific policy, okay? We already have the main program policy at the top. We already have the security risk management program policy at the top, okay? Now, for all the security systems that you're going to propose, for all the systems that are going to be executed, we now need to come and formulate their specific, system-specific policies. Okay, we need to incorporate their system-specific policies. For example, all right, if one of the systems that you're going to be incorporating to mitigate and manage the risks that you have established are ranking high through the SRA, okay, is one of the system is an automated access control system, all right, then you are going to come and first formulate an access control system policy for that system, all right? And then within it, you're going to highlight the standards, the procedures and guidelines, any work instructions that is going to be required, any form templates that are going to be required, and any other related tool as far as that system is concerned. Now, as far as this section is concerned, we are now looking at all the systems that are going to be proposed, not just one. Okay, any system that is going to be recommended as a result of the SRA, then we need to have a system-specific policy for that as well, so that we can have a better way of executing it when it comes down to the execution, all right? Because we don't want to miss anything out, okay? On the execution part, we're talking about the implementation phase here, all right? Implementation of systems, conducting trainings where necessary, and obviously before conducting training, we've got to do the training needs analysis so that we can establish how we can go about doing these trainings, okay? We've got to establish the need for the training and the mechanisms that we're going to put in place to facilitate those trainings, all right? And again, this is where we are also going to implement any reporting, monitoring, and reviewing mechanisms moving forward of the systems that are going to be implemented. So execution, again, is a very important phase within the security risk management framework. So when you hear of security risk management framework under the security risk management program, this is what you need to know. It's all about the direction of the program. It's all about the systems that are going to be designed for implementation and about the execution of those systems. Now, when you look at the sample security risk management framework flowchart, it is just a summary representation of what we have highlighted before in the previous slide, okay? Where the security risk management framework incorporates the direction of the program. It also incorporates the systems that are going to be within the program, as well as how the systems are going to be executed moving forward. I hope you can see it in spite of the bright colors, okay? Under direction, you can see we have the organizational objectives, and that is why the program policy falls under, as well as the risk assessment process. And after the risk assessment process, we have the risk management plan, okay? because we are able to formulate the risk management plan after the risk assessment process, all right? And then after the direction now, we go to the systems, okay? Systems that are going to be proposed under the risk management plan, okay? Now, under systems, it's all about designing them. It's all about designing them. How are they going to be implemented? And how can the security systems achieve the security principles that we are aware of as security professionals? Because again, the security systems and controls that you're proposing in the security risk assessment and subsequent risk management plan, they've got to meet all the security standards and principles, all right? One, you have to make sure that the systems are well layered. They have to be well layered, all right? They have to achieve the protection measures of deterrence, delaying, monitoring, responding, they have to achieve all that, okay? So you have to layer them properly, okay? You have to layer them properly. Whether the systems are in form of technological solutions or procedural, or they incorporate security personnel or the human element, or maybe whatever security design and architecture that's there, whatever form they are going to come in form of, right? Or whether they need to be integrated, those very important security principles must be achieved. They have to be layered, all right? And also, they have to meet the return on investment. It is very important that the systems you're recommending are not costing more than the risk that they are being mitigated to counter. They have to balance, okay? You can't recommend security systems that are way too expensive for an organization, and they are way too expensive, surpassing the cost of the risk if it was to occur. So there has to be a balance there, right? Again, the systems also have to come with some benefit. Again, we have to achieve that reward. Okay, we want to counter the risks, but again, how can we reward the organization? How can the systems, security systems and controls be a reward to the organization? So we have to strike that balance with the systems as well, all right? So there's a lot that goes in within the systems. And this is where, as a security professional, you are able to demonstrate your professional judgment. This is where you're supposed to shine as far as systems are concerned, okay? This is where you're supposed to shine as a security professional, okay? Because this is where you're bringing in your expertise to the table, okay? You are designing the security controls, all right, for whatever purpose. If they are being incorporated within organizational projects, organizational practices, organizational activities, organizational procedures or processes, whatever the case, this is where you shine, all right? And then in execution, okay, in execution, you require a lot of collaboration here, because as far as execution goes, you are not going to be doing this alone as a security professional. This is where you need to do this. The execution bit, you're bringing on board stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders, all right? Needless to say this, that the security risk management program is not a program you formulate alone as a security professional, no. You might spearhead it because you are the security expert and this is your area of expertise. You can spearhead it, but you cannot do it alone. You have to do it with a team. Some of the team members may be teams from the security department, but some of the team members may be staff working in other business functions and departments within their organization, staff who are critical as far as security management and security effort is concerned, all right? Key risk owners, these are employees who work every day with critical assets in the organization. So they are key stakeholders because they are the risk owners, okay? So when it comes to execution, you're going to find that you are going to be relying on their engagement and collaboration, all right? So in a nutshell, the security risk management framework, okay, is a structure that has a lot going on within it, all right? And that is why we need to include all the relevant stakeholders, and we need to prioritize the integration aspect. Integration is vital here. Every critical process, activity, project, business function, any critical operation, we need to integrate security considerations, okay? Because if interference of that process, activity, project, etc., if it is interfered and discontinued and operational continuity is discontinued for one reason or another because of a security threat, then it has an implication toward the organization goal. When operational continuity is discontinued, the organization is not going to be able to meet its goals and objectives. So our work as security function is to make sure that security risk is integrated in every critical activity, process, project, procedure within the organization. And the mistake that a lot of security professionals make is we tend to we pay more attention to physical security. We are paying more attention to the physical security aspect, okay? And not paying attention to the procedural aspects within the company, okay? There's a lot of misconduct and wrongdoing that is happening internally within the procedures, operational procedures, you know, in those departments, in your organization, those business functions, those operations they are doing, okay? You need to be conversant with those operations as a security professional, and that is why you bring in stakeholders from those business functions, because they tell you, they enlighten you on what goes on within their business functions. They enlighten you on the critical operations and procedures. They give you their perspectives and opinions so that you can factor in security considerations in those operational procedures. All right? So when you're talking of the security risk management program, okay, let us not pay more attention to the physical security domain. Let us deepen the value of the product by making sure that we also pay more focus, right, to the procedural side of things and the operational side of things, internal controls and efficiencies. We also factoring in security considerations in there. And that is what you achieve with the security risk management program. That is what you achieve with it, because it's holistic and everybody in the organization is factored in, and every business function and department is factored in, okay? Now, moving on, why should every security risk management program have an effective security risk management framework? One of the reasons why this is important is because organizational leadership's extent of mandate and commitment is established and demonstrated in the framework. This support and influence is required for the SRMP to be effective. This commitment is demonstrated when A, security becomes an organizational strategic goal, all right? You will agree with me that when the organization leadership has incorporated security within its strategies, okay, they are going to be viewing security with a broader lens, okay? They're actually going to be viewing security not just as a loss preventative function, a function that's there to deter and prevent losses, incident losses, okay? They're actually seeing security as a function that enables their organization build onto their resilience. They are seeing security as a function that plays a very vital role towards the organization's business continuity, all right? They're looking and saying, security is fundamental for integration within critical organizational procedures and operations and processes and activities, okay? Because we want to have that business continuity going, all right? And when security is not well supported in this organization, then there is going to be a lot of interference in continuation, operational continuity, which subsequently affects the business continuity. So this is the leadership that is viewing security with a broader view, with a broader lens, okay? And they have incorporated security within their goals. It is actually a strategic goal, okay? And that can only be factored in and incorporated when it has been looped in the security risk management framework, okay? Through benchmarking, through consultations and communications, all right? By demonstrating the inherent gaps within a security function hindering the security performance and saying this, if we get your support as leadership, then as a security function, we are going to be able to do more, okay? The hindrances that are affecting our performance are going to be limited and are going to be managed, and we are going to be able to give the organization more value, all right? And that is what the security risk management program is all about as far as the security function is concerned, okay? It's a win-win. Now, B, senior executive stakeholders are included in the program. Now, this is rule number one as far as security risk management program is concerned. There has to be a senior executive stakeholder as a team member of the security risk management program, okay? That program will have a team. There has to be a senior executive as part of the team. The number of senior executives is to be determined by every specific organization, but there has to be that representation. There has to be that representation, all right? Remember, I mentioned that leadership, extent of commitment and support is the glue that holds the security risk management program together, okay? The effectiveness of the security risk management program is contingent to the extent of support and commitment the leadership is demonstrating. That is a fact. And that is why, as a security professional, you really need to benchmark, you really need to communicate and consult. You don't need to work alone in isolation. You need to get out there and talk to your colleagues in other departments. You need to talk to your boss. You need to present your ideas. You need to be vocal about it, okay? And that is why it is also very important for you to polish up your communication skills. It is very important for you to polish your presentation skills because they will be beneficial to you when you're benchmarking, all right? Now, C, business management functions as well as relevant operational processes and activities are made part of the program, all right? With leadership support, you can be sure that no business function is going to resist. You see that resistance you get as a security function or department? You know that resistance you get from other departments when you want certain mitigations implemented within their department and there is that resistance. Do you know why you get that resistance? because you're not having the leadership support. Okay, so you have to deal with a lot of bottlenecks. You have to deal with a lot of bottlenecks, okay? Now, when leadership is supporting the mandate of the program, then be sure that all the critical business functions within the organization are going to fall under the program. And all relevant operational processes and activities are going to be part of the program. Basically, you will leave nothing out. All right? Because your leadership is going to be encouraging and influencing it and supporting. And they're going to be reinforcing your proposal and your suggestions. Because, all right? And that is why having a framework is important. Okay? Because the responsibilities are well outlined in the framework. Who needs to do this and who needs to do that? All right? When do they need to do this and how do they need to do that? You know? All right? Responsibilities are well allocated there. Everybody knows their part to play. They know what is required of them as far as that program is concerned, in spite of their position and level in the organization, whether they are senior or junior, they all know the role that they're playing and they will support it because senior leadership is already on board and supporting it, okay? So they will support it. Support follows suit when you have leadership support, all right? Now, as D, resource allocation from budgetary funds and expertise is evaluated. All right. Now, seen as the leadership support is coming in through the framework, automatically we are also expecting to have a good budget allocation. You know, in a lot of organizations, one of the things that a lot of security professionals have to deal with is budget approvals. All right. Before budget is approved, for a security system to be executed, there's always a lot of push and pull because it is not being seen as a priority. It is not being seen as a priority. Unfortunately, for some organizations, it's been seen as a cost center, right? But when leadership support is looped in through the framework, all right, then you can be sure that the organization is going to set a budget aside for the program, for the security risk management program. All right. You may not be able to probably implement and execute all the systems overnight through a one go. All right. They might let you, depending on the financial position of the organization, they might tell you that, you know, you might be told this is a budget. So what do you think needs to be prioritized? And then the next system can be implemented and executed in the next financial year, all right? So it's done in phases, okay? But one thing is for sure, there has to be a budget that is going to be allocated. Again, if there is expertise that is required, it will be considered and factored in, all right? If the program requires security expertise to be outsourced, you're going to get support. If it requires training internal employees, all right, to enhance their skills and competencies and capabilities and enhance their expertise, it will be evaluated and it will be supported. Okay, and that is the beauty of it because you have that leadership support. Okay, again, staff responsibilities and appropriate competencies are evaluated. Okay, in the process of formulating the risk management plan and formulating the systems and subsequently proceeding to execute them, all right? Staff responsibilities are well outlined, okay? which staff are going to be responsible for the execution of the systems, and in their responsibilities, what exactly are they supposed to be doing? What is their role? What are they doing? Are they inputting procedures? Are they overseeing security considerations in processes? What exactly are those staff doing? What is their responsibility? Okay. So under the framework, these responsibilities are well evaluated. Okay. And as you're evaluating responsibilities, those staff competencies have to be evaluated again. All right. They have to be evaluated as well. All right. So that you can ensure that responsibilities are allocated to the appropriate staff because they have the relevant competencies for that, all right? Now, that is one of the reasons why it is very important for you to have an effective security risk management framework within a security risk management program, okay? Because you need to get that leadership support and commitment. You need to get that leadership support and commitment. And you can only get it when you have a framework, okay? You can only get it when you have a framework, all right? Because you will have benchmarked, you will have communicated and consulted with relevant stakeholders, including leadership stakeholders, those senior leadership and executives. You will have benchmarked, and they will have given you the go-ahead to actually develop and implement the security risk management program. So they've given you that authorization. You'll be spearheading, but working with the team, all right? So they've given you the go-ahead. So after this approval, then you can be able to design a security risk management framework where their contribution and support is fundamental as well moving forward, all right? The other reason why it's important to have an effective security risk management framework within a security risk management program is because organizational principles need to be evaluated and fused into the framework during the development and implementation of the security risk management program for it to be effective. All right? Now, just as leadership, organization leadership is the glue that holds the security risk management program together, all right? I want to reiterate and also say that so are the principles. These principles are very important, and I will reference my go-to risk management standard, which is ISO 31000, because what ISO 31000 does is that it has already proposed and recommended 8 principles that organizations need to factor in when they're developing and implementing security risk management programs, okay? And these principles are supposed to be fused into a security risk management framework. These principles are supposed to feature, they're supposed to be present, they're supposed to be seen, they're supposed to exist within the program. They're supposed to be fused into every aspect of the security risk management framework, okay? Now, one of the principles as per ISO 31000 is integrate. You've heard me mention integrate more than once in this episode and the previous episode discussion, because integration is key. As far as security risk management is concerned, integration of security risk management practices across all the organization activities, all the organization processes, all the organization projects, procedures, etc., etc. We have to integrate security risk management practices everywhere. 2, structured and comprehensive. This principle is very important because what it says is that the security risk management program has to be structured and comprehensive. This means that, 1, it has to be systematic in the way that it's been conducted. It's got to be done in an orderly and organized manner, right? And again, it's got to be comprehensive. That means that we are basing all the information that we are acquiring in the process and factoring in the program, we are considering every information and ensuring that that information is accurate, it is relevant, it is credible, and it is up to date. Okay? So the information has got to be comprehensive. Whatever information you're feeding into the program, whether you're feeding it through the security risk assessment process when you're identifying and evaluating and analyzing risks, or whether you're feeding it into the security controls and systems, okay? Wherever you're feeding it and fusing it, that information has got to be accurate, credible, relevant, and up to date, all right? Again, the principle of dynamic, okay? The program, the security risk management program, has got to be adaptable with the change of times. It's got to be dynamic. It's got to adapt and evolve. It can't be rigid. It has to change. As the organization is changing, because organizations change, okay? Maybe operations change, maybe they reduce or increase. Maybe the organization changes its operations and starts doing something else, or operates in a different additional region. You know, organizations change for one reason or another. As the organization changes, the security risk management program for that organization needs to be dynamic and change as well. Okay? As threats evolve again, the security risk management program needs to adapt and evolve as well. The techniques we are using to identify risk and analyze risk and evaluate them, they also need to be dynamic. They need to be adaptable as well. The systems we are executing, the security controls and mitigations we are executing, they also need to be dynamic. They need to change and adapt with time so that they can be efficient and maintain their efficacy, right? Again, the principle of customization, customized, all right? The security risk management program that is being formulated has got to be customized so that it can be proportionate to the specific organization. It has to be customized within the organization's budget. It has to be customized within the organization context. It has to be customized within the organization nature of operation or area of operation or region of operation. It has again to be customized based on the organization's risk appetite, all right? So again, it has to be proportionate, okay? And this is why security risk management programs vary per organization, because they are very target and specific based, as I mentioned in our previous video discussion, okay? Again, inclusive. It's another important principle that needs to be fused into the framework, okay? We need to include all relevant stakeholders. We need to include everybody, okay? Now, the principle of inclusivity is very important, and it makes a security risk management program structure stand out compared to a traditional security management structure. Because remember, in a traditional security management structure, the security department works in isolation. They work alone. When it comes to security matters, they don't involve other employees in the organization working in other business functions. They work alone, right? But in the security risk management program, you have to include all the relevant stakeholders, whether they are working or not working within the security department, as long as they are critical towards protecting and securing critical organizational assets. All right? Whether those assets are interconnected or not, all right? They have to be included, all right? So again, the principle of inclusivity, it has to be fused into the the security risk management framework, okay? And again, the principle of best available information, okay? Again, the security risk management framework has got to be based on relevant and up-to-date information. Okay? This means that the program needs to leverage on accuracy and credibility. Okay? The information that the program is relying on when it comes to the SRA process, when it comes to the risk management plan and a formulation of the systems and the execution, all that information has got to be based on best available information. And this is why it is very important for security professionals to continuously keep learning and upskilling, to continuously keep researching, to continuously keep enlightening themselves in regards to the upcoming innovations and modernized techniques that are coming so that they can be factored in the security risk management program, as the security management program maintains its adaptability. Okay, that information is fused into the program moving forward. Right, again, the human and cultural factors. This is a very critical principles. All right, because again, if you don't factor in the organizational culture in your security risk management program, a lot will go wrong along the way, especially in the execution. The controls that you execute, you are going to struggle with compliance. Employees are not going to execute those controls effectively because the culture is amiss. And you did not take time to understand your organization culture and your employees' behavior, so that you can consider that in the formulation of the systems and execution. When we're talking of the culture is reflected in things like reporting. How is reporting done in your organization? How is communication done in your organization? Okay. How is compliance done in your organization? All right. And again, when you're looking at culture, you're not just looking at employees, you're looking at senior employees as well. What is your organizational leadership culture? How do they behave? How do they behave? You know, are they encouraging the security efforts? How do they behave? You know, when it comes to the human and cultural factors of your leadership. All right. So again, you factor that principle and fuse it into the security risk management framework. Okay. Now, if we were just taking John's approach, the security manager of company X, if we were just taking his approach and just conducting a security risk assessment process from the onset and doing it by ourselves without including other stakeholders, all right, and not considering the company's culture, all right, what would happen is that we would get an outcome similar to what he got. Okay, the strategies that we proposed and were executed to manage and counter the security breaches, they would remain ineffective because the employees and the staff that are required to execute them, okay, the culture was not factored in the execution. We are struggling with compliance. We are struggling with reporting, okay, because we did a security risk assessment right from scratch, and we did not factor in critical principles such as the cultural factor within the organization. That is why we are having issues. Therefore, by having a security risk management framework, okay, we have a structure where we can fuse in all these principles so that the security risk management program we are formulating can be an effective one, right? That's the end of the presentation. And I hope that you can now have an idea of what is to be constituted in a security risk management framework. And in correlation with the case scenario that we started off in the beginning of John, the security manager at Company X, you can now understand why his initiative was ineffective. His initiative didn't yield best results, okay? And you can now see how having a security risk management program and having a security risk management framework underneath it, where the security risk assessment process falls under direction, okay, would provide us with better results. All right. It would provide us with better results. It would provide us with better support from leadership. It would provide us with better integration. It would provide us with an opportunity to include relevant stakeholders and again enhance the level of compliance as far as executing the security systems and controls are concerned. All right. Now, that is it for today's discussion on Security Risk Management Program. Thank you for keeping me company as we unpacked on the subject. I do appreciate it. I hope you found it valuable, all right? And I look forward to our next video discussion on a similar related topic under Security Risk Management Program. And until then, thank you for watching and goodbye for now.